Willkommen. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being with us here in Lossiemouth. I want to say a big thank you on behalf of the United Kingdom to Boris and to both our teams from Germany and from the UK that have worked so hard, not just to strike the Trinity House Agreement a year ago, but to put it into practice over the last year, and to respect the goodwill and the mutual professionalism that they brought to that work. We're in a new era of threat, and that demands a new era for defence. And when we struck the Trinity House Agreement a year ago today, we wanted it to be new. We recognised that it needed to be unique. We knew we needed a deeper partnership between Germany and the UK. And since then, with the increasing threats, this agreement has become more important still than it was a year ago. Since then, our teams have worked hard to put it into practice. We've had German air crews flying with UK P-8 air crews on the NATO Baltic Sentry missions. We've had our joint programme to procure new deep precision strike weapons, missiles that with a range of over 2,000 kilometres, rapidly being developed together. And since then, German companies have committed £800 million of new investment into the UK, which will create at least 600 new skilled jobs. But today we announce we go further. We confirm together that in future RAF and Deutsche Marine crews will jointly hunt Russian submarines on P-8s and operate alongside each other out of Lossiemouth to protect European security and to protect NATO. We also announce and launch a new cyber partnership to defend our networks against the daily attacks and aggression. We train together today so that if needed, we know we can fight together tomorrow. And in this increasingly dangerous world, we've rightly been challenged. We've rightly been challenged to do more as European nations. And as European nations, Germany and UK in the lead, we have responded. Since Boris and I together took over the joint chairmanship of the Ukraine Defence Contact Group in February, we have helped raise pledges of £50 billion in military aid for Ukraine. And as we face the future, it's clear we must do more. We are stepping up together on Ukraine, we're stepping up together on investment, and today we step up further on deterrence. And in this increasingly dangerous world, our allies are more and more important. And Boris, I look forward in the months and the years ahead to work with you, and the UK looks forward to work with Germany to deepen our partnership, but to play our proper role as two leading nations in NATO. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to join your gratitude towards the teams of the German Minister of Defense and your team. It was a great pleasure to be here. It was well prepared, and the flight with P-8 Poseidon was just really amazing and astonishing for me. It's the first flight for me on that plane, and I'm looking forward that we will get our first one in the beginning of November. But before that, I would emphasize once more, I really enjoyed our flight across the North Sea. I am deeply impressed, and it's amazing what Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft can do. And I'm happy that soon that it will fly for the German Navy as well. I want to thank you and the entire crew for the Royal Navy, of the Royal Air Force for making this possible. The old mistake, changing up here. Exactly 1 year ago, we signed the Trinity House Agreement in London. It laid the foundation for even deeper cooperation between our countries on security issues. It is an expression of our close partnership and the trust that we place in each other. 1 year down the road, we can say with 27 joint projects, our engines are operating at full throttle. As part of the European long-range strike approach, we are developing long-range precision weapons. Industry has already been tasked with preparing the technical implementation. We are taking our maritime capabilities to the next level as well. Already mentioned several times, Germany's Navy will receive 8 new P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft in the months to come. You have been using those for a while now, and thank you very, very much on behalf of the German Navy for your supporting our fielding process, for letting our crews learn valuable initial lessons about your aircraft, for allowing us to use this base in Lossiemouth as a stepping stone towards the North Atlantic, and for conducting joint training and exercises with us. This close cooperation will help us increase our ranges and operating radius significantly. We will therefore be able to increase our presence in the North Atlantic and monitor it more closely. This will contribute to maritime deterrence within NATO. To the same end, we will equip our Poseidon aircraft with British Stingray torpedoes. What is the status of the project in Germany? On 1st October, the manufacturer symbolically handed over the first aircraft in Seattle, only 50 months after we had placed the order. A pragmatic solution just like we need it in times like these. Our experts are now checking the technology and equipment on scene. It is a final inspection before the aircraft will cross the Atlantic in mid-November. Our naval aviation troops want to achieve full operational readiness as quickly as possible, and believe me, they are keen on it. The predecessor model P3C has been showing some signs of obsolescence in recent months. The new aircraft is therefore more than just a technological milestone. It also provides the essential capabilities of long-range maritime reconnaissance and airborne anti-submarine warfare for our armed forces. And, John, you mentioned it, we want to continue the success story of the Trinity House Agreement. We will implement another flagship project that we agreed on today. We will jointly improve our cyber resilience and our defense capabilities in the digital realm, with projects that ensure the protection of our military networks. That from my side, I'm looking forward to our cooperation, and let me emphasize once more, John and me, we have been working now together for, it seems like to be years, but it's only 1.5 or 2 years, I think. And I really enjoyed it because you are not only a very reliable counterpart and colleague here in the UK, but you're also a friend. So I'm really looking forward to the times to come.
Right.
Thank you very much, Secretary Healy, and thank you, Minister Pistorius. We'll turn to questions, and first, Jonathan Beale from the BBC.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask both of you about your reaction to what President Trump is saying about sanctions on Russia, more sanctions, but you know, he's blown hot and cold about Ukraine. He seems now to have some resolve, and some of that resolve, you clearly are going to get the blame from President Putin as two Europeans who've been trying to support Ukraine militarily, trying to get them weapons. Are you worried about, given that you're putting some backbone in the US, that there will be retaliation for Europe, with Russia already targeting you in cyber attacks, more Russian submarine activity, etc.? Thank you.
Well, the UK, we're proud to be Ukraine's closest ally, and we know that that means we're in Putin's sights. We're not alone, and it isn't just President Putin escalating aggression in Ukraine. the level of incursions, aggressions in cyberspace and in airspace has increased in the last couple of years. NATO has responded together with strength and determination. And as far as the US goes, this is a really important new step from President Trump. Economic sanctions on Russian oil companies. In the UK, we sanctioned the same companies last week. And this is always more powerful when nations act together, and we look forward also to the next steps that the European Union may take on sanctions too. It's important because it helps put pressure on Putin. Pressure on Putin to recognize that he will not win, that Ukraine will keep fighting, and nations like Germany and the UK that stand with Ukraine will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. And our message to Putin, and the message that he should take from President Trump, is stop fighting, start talking, and negotiate peace.
Well, I would like to start with a confession. I'm a little bit skeptic, because we heard before that there might be sanctions from the US and they didn't yet come. So I am optimistic, at least, that this time it will really work out, because this is what John said too. It is about putting more pressure on Russia to stop fighting and to come to the negotiation table. This is what it is about for the moment, and has been already for several months. So I appreciate any sanctions from the European Union and from the US, of course, in particular. But at the same time, we are not afraid. I mean, this is clear. We have a reliable alliance with NATO. Every ally does exactly what it is to do and what it is about. It is our joint security and our future, and therefore it is necessary, urgently necessary, to ramp up, to stick together, and to make clear that we will be able and willing to defend our freedom and security. And it is about Vladimir Putin, like it has been being for 3.5 years. He is the only person who can put an end to this war tomorrow, at this moment, by withdrawing his troops, but he won't, and he is not willing to do, at least not for the moment.
Thank you. Marika Aden, ARD.
Yes, good morning. I'll do this in German at first, if I may. Eine heute veröffentlichte investigative Recherche von Kollegen zeigt ja, dass Russland seine Atomwaffen in der Arktis mit einem geheimen Unterwasserüberwachungssystem schützt und dass da offenbar auch deutsche Technologie zum Einsatz kommt. Was sagen Sie dazu?
Sie werden Verständnis dafür haben. Ich habe diesen Bericht heute Morgen zur Kenntnis genommen und konnte noch keine eigenen Erkundigungen einholen. Das wird jetzt passieren. Aber es wäre ein weiteres Beispiel dafür, dass Sanktionen, wenn sie nützlich sein sollen und wirklich Wirkung entfalten sollen, eben auch strikt eingehalten und überwacht werden müssen, wenn es so wäre.
Thank you.
If I may briefly ask to both of you, and if you, Mr. Pistorius, could elaborate afterwards in German, ahead of the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing tomorrow in London, how likely is that a robust peace plan will come together, and what role would the UK and Germany play in that?
Alongside the French, the UK pulled the Coalition of the Willing together 6 months ago. Since then, we've had a period of over 200 military planners from 30+ nations preparing detailed military plans. Now, these are plans for our nations together to be ready to secure the peace once it's negotiated. So at one and the same time, our duty as defence ministers is to stand by Ukraine, ensure that Ukraine gets the military aid to stay in the fight and to fight back Putin's invasion. But at the same time, peace is possible. We want to see peace, and we need to be ready when that peace is struck to reinforce the strength of Ukraine, to rebuild and deter Russia for the long term. And we will be ready.
Ich kann mich dem anschließen. Die Koalition der Willigen ist jetzt seit einigen Monaten auf der Bühne. Aber am Ende geht es um die einfache Feststellung, mit der ich gerade mein Statement abgeschlossen habe, nämlich darum, dass der Krieg erstmal beendet werden müsste oder pausieren müsste, damit wir ernsthaft reden können über das, was dann passiert. Ich bleibe bei meiner durchaus zurückhaltend konservativen Auffassung, dass man seine Trümpfe nicht vorzeitig ausspielen sollte und vor allen Dingen nicht seine Pläne offenlegen sollte und seine Fähigkeiten, bevor nicht klar ist, wann und unter welchen Bedingungen vor allen Dingen es zu einem Waffenstillstand oder zu einem Friedensschluss kommt.
Tom Cotterill, Telegraph.
You mentioned, Minister, that you had some scepticism over President Trump and his sanctions. I'd be interested to know, with the kind of blowing hot and cold, as one of my colleagues put it, for Mr. Trump when it came to Ukraine, what sort of impact has that had on Europe's response? Has it harmed it? And I'd like to hear the same response from yourself.
Yeah. The challenge to European nations in NATO and those of us supporting Ukraine has been to step up so that Ukraine is properly equipped to deal with the escalating Russian aggression. We have done that. We have been ready through the European Union, through the UK and other nations to step up with European sanctions on Putin. And it's that combination of economic pressure and military support that ultimately will persuade Putin that his interests are in talking, not fighting. And so that's why this decision that's been announced by President Trump, that US will put sanctions on some of the same oil companies that we have been sanctioning, is a really important step.
If I understand your question properly, I'm skeptic because I'm skeptic on a base of experience during the last 12 months or 8 months, sorry. But Europe has to play its own role anyway in supporting Ukraine and in playing a more central and relevant role when it comes to conventional deterrence and defense in Europe within NATO. This is what I always have been saying for months already. The NATO has to become more European so it can remain transatlantic. And this is a message to Donald Trump and to Vladimir Putin at the same time with different intentions.
And this is an argument you and I have been making for several years, Boris, not just recent months.
Stefan Wurtzel, Deutschlandfunk.
Thank you, Neil. Herr Pistorius, welche Rolle spielen diese Flugzeuge Ihrer Ansicht nach beim Schutz der kritischen Infrastruktur? Und diese Flugzeuge sind ja sehr teuer, sowohl in der Anschaffung als auch im Betrieb. Inwiefern ist das eine Investition, die Sie in den Wahlkämpfen im nächsten Jahr vermitteln können, den Wählerinnen und Wählern? And a question to you, if I may, which role do these planes have when it comes to the protection of critical infrastructure?
Es hat eine enorme Bedeutung, aber nicht nur für die kritische Infrastruktur, sondern vor allen Dingen auch, wenn es darum geht, den Nordatlantik zu überwachen und zu kontrollieren, was dort geschieht. Ja. Wir reden über russische Atom-U-Boote, die über den Pol in den Nordatlantik vorstoßen, regelmäßig in internationalen Gewässern ihre Wege suchen und finden. Und es geht darum zu wissen, wo sie sind und was sie tun. Das können wir mit der P8 Poseidon, das können wir mit den U-Booten unserer Vereinten Streitkräfte. Über all das können wir eine ganze Menge erreichen im Nordatlantik. Und es geht dabei auch um kritische Infrastruktur und um das Aufspüren verdächtiger Schiffe. Wir konnten heute eindrucksvoll auf dem Flug auch sehen, in welcher Auflösung und Qualität das gelingt und auf welche Entfernung. Von daher ist das nicht einfach nur ein nice to have, dieses Flugzeug, sondern 8 davon zu haben, bedeutet erstens mehr Sicherheit für unser eigenes Land, aber vor allen Dingen auch fürs Bündnisgebiet. Und was mir besonders wichtig ist, ist die Interoperabilität, die wir damit stärken. Norweger, Kanadier, Amerikaner, Briten, wir und noch einige andere fliegen dieses Flugzeug. Und wir können jederzeit miteinander nicht nur operieren, sondern sogar unsere Teams mixen und austauschen. Wir können gemeinsam warten und üben und das auf wirklich kurzfristiger Vorbereitung. Das sind unschätzbare Vorteile, getreu dem Motto Train as you fight. Wenn wir wissen, wie wir trainieren und operieren können miteinander, dann funktioniert das eben auch im Ernstfall.
So the role of the P8 is threefold. First of all, to hunt submarines. And our ability to hunt and track Russian submarines is much stronger when we act together. And when Germany becomes a full P8 nation, when Germany flies its P8s alongside UK P8s out of Lossiemouth as part of that North Atlantic, High North and wider patrol, we with the other nations will have up to 50 P8s available to protect the North Atlantic, the High North and parts of NATO's eastern flank. A very powerful deterrence to Russia. Secondly, it is a very powerful marine patrol aircraft for watching surface vessels. And so we have used P8s to track Russian vessels, to be able to identify those vessels that may be up to no good, including those that may be threatening our joint critical national infrastructure. And we've seen in the UK over the last 2 years a 30% rise in the number of Russian vessels that have threatened UK waters, which underlines the need for greater activity, greater vigilance and greater cooperation with allies. And thirdly, the P8s play a very valuable role for all our nations in search and rescue. And for those three reasons, the powerful alliance now of Germany and the UK, but in particular the welcoming of Germany as a P8 nation, is a really important step for each of our nation's security, but also for the wider European and NATO security as well.
Oliver Wright, STV.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon to both of you. We're here at RAF Lossiemouth today. How important is having that base here available to NATO as that entry to the North Atlantic? Important to providing that credible deterrent to Putin?
For me, as the UK Defence Secretary, Lossiemouth couldn't be more important. Not just in Scotland and for Scotland, but for the whole of the UK. And you've heard us talk about Lossiemouth at the centre of future European as well as NATO security and strengthening that. It's also so important to us here. We've got over 3,000 people working out of this base, military and civilians together. And so I'm proud of what Lossiemouth does, of the men and women that work from here. I'm proud of the Scots that are a really important part of that UK defence and the contribution from Lossiemouth that we can make to NATO security. Because in the end, this is not just the P8s, the 2 squadrons of P8s here. We've also got 4 squadrons of Typhoons, the fast reaction jets, the Typhoons, the jets that will help the NATO air patrols that we've seen on the eastern flank in recent years.
Couldn't agree more.
And finally, Karsten Hoffmann, Deutsche Presseagentur.
Yeah. Ministers, this is about a British-German cooperation that is deeper and intensified. At the same time, the cooperation with France, German-French cooperation on a future combat air system, is in troubled waters for a long time. Minister Healy, would your country be ready and open to cooperate with Germany on such a future combat air system? And Minister Pistorius, how much longer time can we give the project as it is now, waiting, possibly even burning money?
I mentioned it several times earlier. We have a clear schedule. The Chancellor and me, we agreed that until the end of this year we will have a decision, either or. That's all I can say for the moment, but we are in negotiations, we are in talks, we are in discussions. We find a solution or we won't, but a decision will be made until the end of the year.
Look, my first focus as UK Defence Minister is making sure that we call it our GCAP programme, the alliance, the partnership between Italy, Japan and the UK, that this is a serious programme and it's well established as it is. We've already got 6,500 engineers between the 3 nations working on this programme. So it's a programme with substance, it's a programme with momentum, and I'm determined that we'll deliver it. In terms of our partnership with Germany, my first focus is the Trinity House Agreement. We've made good progress over this first year. We've announced new areas that we will deepen our cooperation on today. And at the heart of the partnership that Germany and the UK have, that we capture and pursue with our Trinity House Agreement, is the role that our nations know we must play now in wider European security and the future of NATO.
May I have a follow-up? Would there be place for Germany in your partnership? On the own partnership that you have?
My first focus is the partnership we have now and making sure that this programme is credible, it's substantial, and it will deliver. And it will.
Thank you very much, Secretary Healy and Minister Pistorius.
Thank you.
All we've got time for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good.